Mark Skaar on the Skaar Kaard on 103.7 The Fox. Proud to welcome in Kurdt Vanderhoof from Hall Aflame. Kurdt, how are you?
I'm doing awesome. How are you, man?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for being on with us. I want to talk about the brand new record, Amplifire. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. It's been a long time coming, I'll tell you.
Yeah, there's quite a story with Hall Aflame because there was a first record back in, 1991?
Yep.
And then, well, there's a whole bunch of things that have happened in the interim. I know you've been working on this for a really long time, and it's finally here. Let's talk about why it took 30-plus years for the sophomore record.
First off, Hall of Flame happened right after I left Metal Church. And, didn't leave Metal Church, but decided to step back and do production and songwriting and get into that aspect of the business. So I did that, and I was back in my hometown of Aberdeen, and some friends of mine, other musicians, people that I went to high school with, and some people that I've just kind of known over other musicians in town, we ended up at a little tavern called the Poorhouse Tavern, and we all kind of looked at each other and went, hey, how come none of us are really in bands anymore? Hey, why not? Let's go jam. Down the street at Brian, the bass player, he had a little studio and a place where his band played. So the whole thing kind of basically happened by accident. We ended up writing some songs, and it was just straight up rock and roll. We ended up getting a record deal with IRS Records and went on the road with ZZ Top and Boyster Cult, and then the grunge thing in Seattle had hit, so we were pretty much on the out as far as having anybody pay attention, because we certainly weren't that. We could have been the Beatles or something, and nobody would have cared. So the whole thing just basically, it just fizzled out. But Brian, the bass player, and I kept trying to get things going. We got a new singer and a new drummer. We wrote more songs, and we just kept going. Finally, after a few years, after taking off really fast, it just burnt out. So we remained friends, and everybody kind of went their separate ways for a while. And then last year and a half ago, we decided, you know what? I came across all our demos that we made of all these songs that we wrote that never became the second record. Some with our original singer, and then some that we wrote when Scott came into the band, because he was our second singer even back in the 90s, the guy who's singing for us now. So we decided just to record these songs. We have the technology now. Let's record these songs and document them and put them out somehow just so they don't go to waste, because they're really good and we really like them. So we did that. And as we started doing it, it started really developing into something that we were kind of shocked by. And through the process, we decided, let's see if we can do something with this. And it just developed from there. We put the songs together. Rat Pack Records really liked it. And we just decided, let's do this. And here we are, finally. So, yeah, it was quite a process. And, again, for this record, we didn't really expect to do anything real. But since it turned out so well and we were so happy with it, we decided, well, let's put a band together and let's be a real band, not just put the record out.
I love the record, Kurdt. I like the separation of all the instruments. You can hear everything plain as day. It's a wonderfully produced record.
Well, thank you very much. It's certainly not metal, just old-school hard rock.
So the first thing we heard from this, Kurdt, was The Same Gutter. Tell me about that song.
Kind of a look back as we're getting older. I don't like to say we're old guys. We're music business veterans.
Right.
But it kind of, as you see the rise and fall of certain people, some people manage to stay there. Some people never get over the lifestyle we did when we were kids, and in the biz. And it kind of dawned on me one time that no matter how famous you are or how much money you have, when you go down, you all end up in the same gutter. That's kind of an observation of it really doesn't matter who you are. You end up in the same gutter if you don't watch your stuff.
We're talking with Kurdt Vanderhoof from Hall Aflame, Metal Church, etc. The new album's called Amplifier, and self-explanatory, but the second taste we heard was 1974. 50 years ago. Can you believe it?
No. But, hey, I still, in my head, it's still 1974. That's all it's always your favorite music you grew up with is usually the most stuff you stick with. But, I'm a big 70s guy. Yes, it was my youth when I was a kid and wanted to be in a band and stuff. But at the same time, I can stand by the rock and the hard rock of the 70s being probably the best era for innovation in music when, I don't know, it just seemed like a great time. I still go back and listen to all the bands of that era, and everybody sounded different. Everybody was striving to be better. It was just a wonderful time for music. I mean, you had everything from your silly pop stuff to progressive rock and everything in between, and it was like, I still go back and and buy records that are new to me from bands from that era because I didn't have time to pay attention because there was so much going on. But then it just had a lot to do with kind of wanted to acknowledge the fact that we are older now, and also kind of a statement about where the band's coming from. Yeah, it's nostalgia and all that kind of stuff, but at the same time, it's who we are. That's where our influences were, and just kind of want to remind all the people that are our age and our fans that are our age that, hey, we were there too, and we had that same experience.
And Kurdt, speaking of nostalgia, one of the formats that you can get Amplifire by Hall Aflame on is vinyl.
Everything's on vinyl these days, and I, for one, couldn't be happier about that.
And you can actually go to your website, and there's some neat colors. There's all these colors of the rainbow now when it comes to vinyl, splatter vinyl things.
Yes, absolutely.
So what's the reception been so far? I know the record's just been out as we're talking for a few days, but what's the feedback been so far?
The feedback is more than we could have hoped. The people, the views on the first video are way beyond we had even expected. And people seem to get it. Yeah, you always get the trolls and you get the people that, if they're familiar with me, they only want to hear me play metal. And I understand that. I get it. But overwhelmingly, the response is extremely positive. And the amount of attention it's getting is more than we could have hoped. So, we couldn't be happier about it. We're just really anxious to get out and start playing as soon as we can.
I was going to say, are there some shows in the future?
Yeah, they're going to be. We don't have anything booked right now, but we definitely want to start playing. That's the other aspect of this project, that we wanted to become a real band. Not just a project, here's a new album, and then, you put it out and it goes away and nobody ever thinks about it again. We want to play. My situation for kind of putting Metal Church on ice with my back and all that kind of stuff is getting a bit better. So we're just going to be doing some shows. I don't know of any touring right now, but, we want to get out and play because it's fun. And we really like working with each other, and we really like this music. So that's the main point of Hall Aflame, is to have some good, uplifting, hard rock and have fun.
Amen. We're with Kurdt Vanderhoof from Hall Aflame. I was going to ask you, how are you feeling right now?
Oh, I'm feeling great. It's the typical old guy problems. There's things that happen, but I take care of myself, and I'm on the mend. It takes a while, but, dealing with back issues like so many people have now, it's so fun. Getting out on the road and sleeping in strange hotel beds, standing on stage for an hour and a half holding an 8-pound guitar, that kind of stuff does not help to promote healing. So that's why I had to take some time off. But with Hall Aflame, we're just going to be doing some one-offs here and there, so I should have no problem doing that.
We're with Kurdt Vanderhoof, and I wanted to talk about Metal Church. Speaking of anniversaries, 40 years this year since the self-titled debut album, a landmark metal record. How does that make you feel?
Old. But actually, it's a very proud thing. I've been so lucky and so blessed to be able to remain in the business in one capacity or another since I started. That's not lost on me. So the people that still come to see us play, that still buy the records, that still, are interested, that's amazing. And again, I'm so grateful for that, because a lot of people get into the biz and pursue a career in music, and they don't get to stay in it. I've somehow managed to stay in it. And, that's a blessing beyond anything. I'm very happy. The fact that even at my age now, the fact that the industry has changed enough to where us, air quotes, old guys still get to do it legitimately is pretty cool, because back in the day, you had the major label filter where, if you're over 30, you were done. It's a whole different ballgame now. So, I don't know. I'm just very grateful and very happy to be in the business at all and get to make music, and I plan on continuing as long as I can hear. So,
any thought to the next Metal Church record?
Not at this point, no. The next one coming out is we have the Live in Japan album that we did with Mike's last recorded performances. I decided to do the best I can and make the best record I could from those recordings.
Well, I'm looking forward to that. I'm a big Mike Howe guy, and I miss him.
Yeah, me too. Really do, very much.
Talking with Kurdt Vanderhoof from, Hall Aflame, Metal Church. Is there going to be anything more from Presto Ballet?
Yep, I'm just finishing up that new record as we speak. And that is a double concept album, the obligatory prog rock double concept album. I figured it was time to do one of those, and that'll be finishing up here in the next month or so. And yeah, it's a follow-up story to the, not the last record, but the previous record called Relic of the Modern World. There was a storyline going on that song, and this is the continuation of that. And it should be a lot of fun. Yeah, it's the big overblown prog rock experience, which I love that kind of stuff too. So, yeah, that'll be coming very soon.
I think our listeners, Kurdt, will appreciate that because, as you mentioned, it's prog rock. If you like Yes and Kansas, you'll love Presto Ballet.
Yeah, very much influenced by Kansas and Rush and Genesis and Yes and all that kind of stuff. Yep, absolutely. I love making music, and I love making all different kinds of music, and I love challenging myself as a writer and a player, and that, again, that's why all the different stuff, from Metal Church, Hall of Flame, and Presto Ballet, they're all three different sounding things, and I like to try to create different kinds of music. Who knows what I might come up with next?
Kurdt, I want to thank you for your time. Congratulations on Amplifire, Hall of Flame. We're going to keep playing it on the show, and when the Presto Ballet comes out, we'll have to have you back to talk about that.
I would be more than happy to. Thank you so much for the support. I really appreciate it.
I'm Mark Skaar. This is Kurdt Vanderhoof from Hall of Flame on the Skaar Kaard, the new classic rock that rocks, on 103.7 The Fox.